And with that, we will be going into the draft for the first match.
Blue team's turn to pick.
Looks like
it's interesting how they've banned out the Lindis. Lindis is definitely not a very popular ban, but I love the priority here as it's turn to pick. First pick. Fresh in the meantime is also there as well. I'm looking forward to what tank they're gonna have or what roamer they're gonna have on their side. But if they do have the Kilgroth and Lubu, it's a very what do you call this? There's a lot of damage going around on their side. A lot of consistent damage on their side with a proper engaged, really good team fight as well. Their late game is also quite secured, and their snowball potential. And we did mention the Yorn, which is being hovered right now. I wonder if they're gonna lock that in.
Well, the thing is, if they decide to lock it in with Ignis, I'm not too sure. They've got two backliners in this comp in terms of damage, but they do have the Malik and Fame that we talked about before. And
they do have the Zephys as well, so I feel like if they could make this work, maybe try a snowball of some sort, perhaps they could be successful in executing this composition.
Yep, and we do see loading into the game now. It is going to be Unity over on the blue side and Team Unknown on the red. Unity trying to push in early for the Sage Golem, trying to get that steal away, but you can see 4 members contesting that from Unknown. An early skirmish going to break out. Hard to see who's going to be able to collect this one up, but I believe it does land in the hands of Unity, and they're going to back out with that. And we will see that Unknown going to then just they've really lost out there. Oh, I was wrong. Meanwhile, it looks like they have gone into the enemy jungle and done the counter invade.
Yeah, good trade there by Raghu. At least they're able to equalize it of some sort, but that would mean the Kilgroth doesn't get the blue, doesn't get the Sage buff. It's gonna be Raghu instead. So that's just gonna really mess up the jungle rotation of the Kilgroth here on the side of Team Unknown. So again, we did mention how Team Unknown's team composition is quite very threatening against Unity, especially when it comes to late game. It's gonna be very, very difficult to actually try and try and eliminate the L'Oreal. Low cooldowns, immense damage, a lot of AoE. She's just gonna micro her way out of your face and just try to eliminate as much as he can and just put a lot of damage. But Abyssal Dragon has already spawned. Level 4 not yet found on the Zephys for Team Unity. Meanwhile, for the Kilgroth, Unknown is already set up, so I feel like they have the advantage, but then again, Kilgroth is at the top side of the map, so I'm not quite sure if they can contest this one.
Yeah, it's going to be Unity to start it off. Crash could see it, kind of kept vision on it for his team, and his team has rotated down, but the kill secure is going to go over to the side of Unity. However, they might fall in the process. First Blood going over to the Kilgroth, and they're going to chase on through to pick up the double kill that's going over to the Lorelei, and they're going to get on out of there with 3 kills already to their name.
Exactly, so I guess that's a good trade still. Abyssal Dragon already went to Unity, and meanwhile Team Unknown managed to secure at least a couple of kills. But then again, you see that the Lubu is free farming and trying to take away as much jungle camps as he can and gets the Sage buff again, and just really gonna ruin the Zephys's rotation in the jungle. But Raghu, you know, he's gonna be fine. He's a Lubu. He's just gonna micro his way out of danger. And Lumber is also found at the top side of the map, mainly because to defend that might buff, just so that to make sure there's no invades whatsoever. But Zephys is at the bot side, so they prefer to have the safe playstyle and safe rotation and just try to aim for objectives rather than rotate around the map, try to find some picks.
Yeah, and now we do see that it's mostly just a bit of map rotations here, as there's going to be a bit of a skirmish up in the top lane. We do see that of the Malok rotating down, looking for any possible damage in the mid lane, but is not going to find it. Instead, Lumber trying to come through the back, but Unity really sticking together as a team. Say sticking together as one unit. They do need to respond, however, to the Lubu in the top lane, just putting for pressure, and that's just what Malik's going to do actually using the ultimate to get there in time. Don't want to lose any early pressure under that turret. Instead, forcing them back into this mid-map, and it seems like it's quite topside focused, meanwhile leaving the Yawn and Crash on their own in the bot lane, but that's going to be another quick kill for Team Unknown. Malok actually getting caught out there in a 1v2 situation.
Wow, I feel like they weren't really prepared for that, but mainly because the composition of Unknown is really heavy on the CCs, consistent damage, and mobility as well. So if they manage to catch someone out of position, then it's definitely an instant burst and instant death for that person, especially there's not much to go around in terms of disengage. But because of that pick, they will be rewarded with an Abyssal Dragon uncontested. So the second one goes to Team Unknown, and let's see what Team Unity will do in response to this.
Yeah, very good rotation there, and perhaps a bit of luck in the timing as well, just allowed them to rotate down to their Abyssal Dragon. Although now they are 1-for-1 in terms of Abyssal Dragons, they still sit ahead in relative gold. They have 12k gold for the team over to 9.6, so doing fairly well in this early game. If we look at levels as well, it looks like they have a slight overall level advantage to that of Unity.
Exactly, and we did mention how late game wise it's really going to be more difficult for Team Unity to face this Team Unknown squad, but look at that, it's a death ball.
Yeah, there's going to be the dive once again onto this Malik. They're just harassing him in the top lane, and there's no response coming from Unity, at least not on time. They will send up a member to hold that lane and make sure they don't lose that turret. Zephyrus is there and waiting, and you can see Fame rotating up. Should be able to have the CC to keep them off, but it looks like they're going to commit hard to this. They're all diving in to the turret, and Fane's doing his best to try push them off. Meanwhile, it's going to be Kilgroth actually going behind the enemy lines, getting the kill onto the Ignis, and they pick up the turret in return. Right now, Team Unknown just on a train ride, maybe train wreck, hopefully not, on the way through of the enemy team. Unity suffering here as they get hit with the knockup over the wall. There's going to be the 3v2. They clean up again, and that time it's going to be the Laura Lee getting the kill onto, I believe that was the Zephyrus from the side of Team Unknown. Oh, okay. I might have been mixing up the teams. Excuse me if I've been doing that. It is Unity on the red side and Unknown on the blue.
There we go.
My bad.
There we go. Team Unknown blue side and Team Unity red side. So they're doing a pretty good job in just handling with their lead. Just pushing through with their lead, rather. It's 0-8 on the scoreboard right now. The goal lead is in their favor for Unity. They're doing a good job. They know that they have the advantage, so why not push more with their lead? They have the ability to dive. They have the shield coming from the Crash when he enters Metamorphosis. They have the proper CCs. They have sustained damage from the Kilgroth. Lumber with the definite disengage there, and because a lot of them on their side are very, very squishy, especially the Ignis and the Yorn, it really cannot be helped. Again, we did mention that they're forced to carry these flickers and put in the rest of the other talents on the other heroes, like for example the Malok and the thing. I believe it's not really I think it's pretty standard, but I feel like you could put in more offensive talents if you picked up a different hero with strong mobility. But there you go, Abyssal Dragon, no contest again whatsoever.
Yeah, the second one will go over to that of Team Unity. They 8 kills ahead to 0 so far. No mistakes, and I'm sure they'd be hoping to continue playing that way. Very well set up in that gank there over the wall, but they're not able to secure any kills. Needing to be careful as they are getting caught under turret. There's going to be the rotation up by Fane to try and keep them there, and it looks like this could be the chance for Team Unknown to get something back, but no, not quite. It looks like Lumber going to escape barely with his life. Yorn not going to hit that ultimate cross map. and they're going to be able to back off safely and continue this rotation. Now, unknown, they could have a chance to catch out that of Lubu, who is on his own, was looking down towards the mid lane. But I think he's tanky enough, should be able to survive, as well as the mobility to get away. But there is 4 members of the team chasing him down, and there's going to be Lumber just in time.
Alrighty, so very good job again for Team Unity. 17k gold lead though. For Team Unknown, we cannot really cross them out just yet, mainly because they're really doing a good job catching up in gold. I do believe that Unity has the advantage of keeping the gold lead up and keep stacking them up till they're able to snowball. But in terms of scaling, they do have it on their side. Yord is still a very scary hero if he is positioned correctly, and if he stays alive, he can pretty much shred as well. But then again, if everybody practically jumps on you, which is the Lubu, the Kilgrot, the Crash, and the L'Oreal, it's just going to be very problematic, and there's not much they could do.
Well, here goes a Brawl down in the mid lane. There's going to be Crash going through the Metamorphosis, gets the Tile Wave off, and Lumber with the ultimate slowing them down. They're able to pick up a kill onto Malak, soon chasing down what looks like to be the Thane. And now they do not have any frontline left. It's all down to Zephys and the Ignis to hold that mid, but I'm pretty sure Unity got what they wanted from that and have further pushed their lead instead of rotating and putting pressure elsewhere on the map. Somewhere we haven't seen much action, though, is down here in the bot lane. Lubu actually rotated down here now, has been taking care of that after successfully pressuring and pushing in that top lane, and also just doing a great job of rotating. You can see Abyssal Dragon up once again, and it looks like they should be able to get this one uncontested and further snowball into a possible win.
Exactly. One of Raghu's primary jobs as the Lubu is to keep pressuring all these side lanes. Because that top side is already pushed, it's his job to go bot lane now. Yord and Thane already being positioned at the bot side of the map, but again, this is a very dive heavy composition for Unity. If they want to punish, look at the B steps here from the Thane. Ignis as well, they're just taunting them for now, but 4 members already in the bot
right
side.
Into the brush, and there's going to be the half of Unity waiting for them. They don't actually land most of their CC, but look at the pressure they've drawn this boss side. Meanwhile, Malik, I'm pretty sure he's uncontested up there in the top lane. This might not be the smartest move from Unity, but we'll have to see how it plays out as they dive in onto turret and they get a kill onto Thane, soon to follow up, taking out the Lubu, and they're going to clean up with ease. They get the turret, but they lose one in trade. They're probably going to push for a tier 2 here, as they do have their whole team in the bot side.
Exactly, and they've decided to put resources like the Malak as their split pusher. Normally, I would really want to see the Zephys doing the split push instead, rather than the Malak, because definitely you want to have 2 tanks and then 2 tanks on your side instead of like having a very squishy Zephys as your front line when you enter into these 4v4 or 4v5 situations. Then again, you do have the Ignis and the Yorn for the wave clear. You just have to wait for them to dive, but it's very overwhelming. Their kit is just perfect for tower dives. Even though they don't carry disrupt, it's fine because they do have a ton of shields to work with and mobility. No steals. No steals.
And it's going to be the Dark Slayer confirmed by Unity, and they're going to push on through for a fight off the back of that one, catching Thane out in the front line. And it just seems like there isn't much that Team Unknown can do. You pointed out before that you don't really want to have this squishy Zephys in the front line, and Malik so far, the best he can do is split push. And it's just Unity, I believe they drafted this very well. We talked a lot about Team Unknown's draft, but when we look at Unity, I think that's much more of a preferred draft in terms of the CC, mobility, and balance of team comp with the backline provided by that of the Lorelei. And now we're going to see them putting the pressure in the top lane, whereas I thought they would have continued to push down a tier 2 turret in the bot, but perhaps they didn't have the minions with them. But you can see how easy it is for them, even when enemies aren't there. They're like, okay, well, you can fight us, or we're going to take your objectives, and that's just what they're doing here, diving onto the tier 3 tower, and they're going in deep. It's going to be the knock-up onto the backline, but they need to be careful as they did lose a member in that engagement already and might decide to back out from this one. They won't go out empty-handed, however. They did get that tier 3 tower as well as the mid lane tier 2. And they're still putting on the pressure. And this just shows that Unity, a man down, are still not afraid to at least poke and provoke a team fight.
Yeah, 10k gold lead already for the side of Unity, and they're doing this so well, very clean, not being too greedy, even though they're so ahead already in the fight. They're just aiming for objectives. They maximize the Dark Slayer buff. They practically got a high ground tower already, getting the Abyssal Dragon as well. So you can tell how patient this team is at this point for Unity, and they're very calm and collected and very safe. I mean, safe in a way that, look at the crash he even got in his ancestral glory, knowing that he's going to be one of the people that would initially make that dive, make that first move, try to engage alongside with Olumber. Again, this is just very problematic. Lubu doing the split push, that's a 4-1 rotation, or yeah, 4-1 rotation already from Team Unity, and this will just force Team Unknown to just split the resources and try to defend.
Yeah, and we do see that they're pushed all the way up to that middle high ground tower, as you mentioned. Meanwhile, I believe bot side would be their next objective, looking to just take it systematically down. But realizing that no one was in the mid, they are just waiting for this minion wave. And with that, it's probably going to be the next team fight. They'll just force a fight. They did even send Lubu down to continue pressuring that of the bot lane in case they weren't successful in the mid, since the whole team of Unknown is needed here to keep the pressure. And now they've divided that. With the Lubu in the bot, it's made that decision in Team Unknown. Are we going to continue to keep our resources in this mid lane, or do we send people down to the bot? And that's just what they did. Malak going to have to use the ultimate to get out there. Thane diving in deep into the front line, but there's going to be the Metamorphosis as a great engage coming through from Unity. They dive on into the front lines, game the Malik down, and you can see that there's nothing the side of Unknown can do at this point, but they're trying to chase. They might pick up a kill. Zephys is going to, however, be able to trade out. He picks up one. He might even pick up two if he's able to juke himself around, and he's fighting for his life, but the defense coming through from Unity there to keep in clutch. And it's all left up to Yorn, 1v3 situation. They have one minion to push with, but I think it's more than enough for this situation here, as we're in the late game already. They're going to take that high ground turret, leaving the side of Unknown with very little, and the respawn time is still not quite up. And it's up to Yorn to just hold that ground there. As you mentioned before, I don't think Unity are going to end it here. They are not a team to over-aggress or get too greedy. So it looks like they are going to back out indeed.
Yeah, they're just gonna try to respect. I mean, I'm starting to see what kind of Team Unity is. They're the type that are not gonna be greedy. They're not gonna be aiming for the flashy plays. They're not here for the highlight reels. They're just here to win. They just want to be as calm and collected as much as they can. Focus on the objectives and just try to end the game as cleanly as possible. And that's, I'm starting to be a fan of Unity. The picks that they even locked in for their draft are very, very strong picks in the meta as well. They do have the game plan in mind and they stick with it. And that's the reason why Team Unknown is having a difficult time at this point. Aside from, you know, a draft that is not very suited against Unity's, it's also, you know, their proactiveness during the laning phase. They're not able to find opportunities, but a fight's gonna start.
And there's going to be the fight in the mid, right in deep. They're going for the kills. It's going to be Unity on top, as always. They pick up that of the Malik, followed through by pretty much the whole team, leaving Ignis, the only one alive. And there's going to be the clean sweep. They won't even lose a member with Lubu on the backline, so very low on HP. They're moving their way onto the enemy core, and they're going to secure themselves the win for match 1.
All right, I love Team Unity. They're clean. They obviously know what they're doing. They are very patient. They're not flashy. I mean, flashy in a way that it's okay that they don't get the flashy plays. They don't get greedy, and I like it. It's a different style that I haven't
we will see going into the second draft just what they decide to pick and ban away. And with that, the proactive side of things, I feel like Team Unity, who is now the blue side, were more, well, proactive. They were always doing something, always rotating to objectives, and I feel like it's too early to judge on Team Unknown. If they get their draft coming into this one, we might just be able to see what Team Unknown has in store for us. And if they are the ones to gain the lead, whether they're able to maintain a hold on that. But we are going in here, seeing the bans come through of Superman, and not quite sure on the side of Team Unknown.
Yes, that Crest is actually being banned. I do understand that Crest has been banned because it did a lot on the side of Team Unity in the previous game. But I do love this second rotation for themselves. They did ban the Lindis in game number 1, and looks like maybe they did a little bit of research. Maybe this is Team Unity's comfort composition. And with that said, they locked in the Preda and the Lindis, which I feel like it's a very early to mid-game heavy composition where they're going to be constantly roaming, clearing down the waves, and then try to siege out, try to make some picks here and there. Zephys and Joker, Team Unknown's draft right now is way better than the first game. I really like what they're doing here right now, and with the Joker in and the Zephys and the L'Oreal as well, that means their late game is pretty much secured.
Yeah, I think that looking at Team Unknown so far, you can see some certain key picks, especially making sure that they prioritize the Thane and the L'Oreal, alongside with that second picks were that of the Zephys and the Joker.
On them, so I guess it's going to be a Senior Malak this time, and bot side will be the Tara.
And okay, this time we do have that of Unity on the blue and Team Unknown on the red, and that is for sure. And we'll have to see how the match plays out. No early invades by either team, both playing it fairly passive. I think for Unity's standpoint, they want to see that now with going up against a different team comp, play a bit safe against that of Team Unknown. But you can see, as I say that, Unity are pushing in deep into that top side of Team Unknown, and they do catch out, I believe that's the Zenial on its own?
Yes, the Zenial. So he did his best to protect the might buff for the Zephys, but unfortunately it did not work out so well. Meanwhile, we see the Tara as well, spotting out an invade, stealing the might golem as a response. So this is a great exchange from both sides.
Yeah, best up for the side of Unknown, but that could change within a second as Unity made a quick, hasty rotation down to the bot side, trying to catch out Blaze on that Thane, but he is fairly tanky and able to escape that one with his life. So no early kills going over just yet, and Unknown keeping up with that of Unity.
Exactly. Really, really impressive rotation for both of the teams for game number 2. And one thing that I do notice when a Lindis is on the side, we have a Lindis jungle, is that it's very prone to dives and invades, mainly because Lindis, although she does have movement speed, she's gonna be carrying a punish. She doesn't have any she's not gonna have a flicker, so that's a mobility skill being taken out of your kit. So if you look at the draft of Team Unknown, you've got a really good 3-man squad, which is the Thane, which is the L'Oreal, and the Zephys. So imagine them just diving in. Oh, looks like a fight.
Well, with that, we do see the Zephys and L'Oreal diving in onto the Malak, but that's the first blood going down. Meanwhile, it's going to be Abyssal Dragon taken by Unity, so the sacrifice there, and I believe it'd be worth it. Now we see Unity with that slight XP advantage as well, should be helping them out. Just as we saw in the first game, they actually gave up, I would say, some of the early game to Team Unknown, the very early game, and then they go on control of it. And that's what Unity are doing once again. It's smart sacrifice or trading out in that sense.
Exactly, and it's a good distraction for the side of Team Unknown, just so that they could secure the Abyssal Dragon as well. They're spotted out, with their 3-man squad was spotted out at the top side, and that was the best opportunity to take the first Abyssal Dragon. So quick trades, quick thinking, quick decisions on the side of Unity, so good job for themselves. But again, Team Unknown scaling looks really good on their side. It's actually pretty threatening again. So Team Unity this time, or Team Unknown rather this time, has that late game potential. So for Unity, they have to make this work. They have to make this snowball, or rather, they have to spike faster and overwhelm them so that L'Oreal doesn't scale, Joker doesn't scale, and take the objectives every time they get the chance.
Yeah, we'll have to see that here in the mid lane as a bit of a, I guess it's just a bit of poke, because it's Unity backing to the safety of that turret, and it does allow Tara to split push a bit down in the bot lane. Joker returning there to make sure they don't get too far ahead of themselves. But this time we do have two very well-balanced side lanes on the side of Unity. They've got the Malik and the Tara, who are both very good at split pushing. And whereas you mentioned Team Unknown strengths will be more that of if they get through to the late game well enough that they're going to be able to scale up. And I think for them as well, in this bot side of the map, they have that Abyssal Dragon control, which actually just came up right now, and they're going to try and prove that at least. But Unity did catch a glimpse of that. They're definitely not unaware. There's going to be the Vayne almost getting caught out, but Zennial with the support all coming in through, and they're going to be able to secure the Abyssal Dragon, which they started, now closing in onto that. Unity looks like they should be able to pick up a kill, and they do, maybe even two, picking out the Lumber as well as that of the Tara. So two very tanky front lines, but in this early game, not tanky enough to withstand Team Unknown's barrage. So a much better game for them, going 4-0 in the early.
Exactly. It was the perfect fight. Malik was found at top. Senil has that ult to immediately rotate or respond to a fight whenever he can. So Malik was just spending time walking from top to the Abyssal Dragon Riverside, and when he got there, it was just too late. So one of the best things that you could do in that situation, if you know that you're going to be late once you come down, is just try to take a turret, because you have the capability to do so. No threats or pressure whatsoever, and at least you could have traded a turret in exchange for an Abyssal Dragon or a lost fight. So it's one of those things that really messes up, or rather really torns the team in terms of decision making. Will I join the fight, or will I try to split push instead? Well, at least with that decision, you could have evened out, or at least taken a consolation prize during the process. But it looks like they are aiming for mid.
Yeah, and there's going to be the engagement, and it's soon, very quickly, Praetor going to be the first to fall. Lumber just having to use the ultimate to keep the enemy away. I don't think there's any chance of a reactionary engagement, although we do see L'Oreal on the backline went fairly low, could be forced to back, and I think they will for now. But Malik made the rotation down after pressuring that top lane, and don't think he's going to get anything for it, as we do see Zephyr's just able to wall hop there to safety. And so far it's very much Team Unknown's game. You did mention that you were liking the Team Unknown team comp, and they should be able to pull through a clean win, pretty much a reverse game of what we saw the first time if things continue the way they are. Abyssal Dragon is up once again, and this is going to be a key condition to which way the match starts to swing.
Exactly, and that bot side take on the first tier tower is really doing wonders for them. They're forced to clear down the wave first before taking control of the Abyssal Dragon area, but at this point you can see Preda just setting up some pokes here and there. Blaze might be in trouble.
Vayne is doing his best as the tank for his team to just be in the front line and keep them busy. He's going to sacrifice his own life. Meanwhile, the rest of them are able to pick up the dragon, and there's going to be the team fight breaking through as they pick up the Lumber. L'Oreal actually going to be able to do that, and Zephyr's trying to chase on through, not going to catch out anyone, but the Joker might be able to as he goes in under turret, and he picks up that kill with a very stylish points, able to get back away to safety, and they might even get a second one, as it looks like Praetor stayed around too long, and following that will be that of the tier 2 tower. So a very good fight overall. They only lost their Vayne in terms of getting Abyssal Dragon for themselves, picking up, I believe it was 2 or was it 3 kills, and a tier 2 turret.
Yeah, that was just insane. I mean, you can tell that Team Unknown is already pretty comfortable. If you see the Joker flicker in for a kill just to secure the kill in a 2v1 situation under the turret, you can tell how confident they are with their movements and how, you know, we're pretty much in a very confident spot. I mean, comfortable spot. If I die here, it's fine. We can afford to make these sort of mistakes. And Malak wasn't able to destroy that first turret at the top side of the map. Senil was able to go up immediately and prevent the destruction of that turret. But meanwhile, we see a three-man rotation at the top side, probably a dive onto Raghu later onto the game.
Yeah, and we have seen this before. Raghu continuously getting pressured by Team Unknown. Meanwhile, the mid is where the rest of Unity are, but they are making that rotation up to the top. They probably understand that that's the intention of Unknown, but they won't go empty-handed. They take themselves a turret, and it looks like Unity right now just have no choice of whether they engage or not. It's all up to Team Unknown. They dictate this match at this point in time. You can see a bit of poke coming through from Unity, but it's not exactly the engagement they're looking for, as Team Unknown just turn it around on them. They're trying to catch out a pick maybe onto Golem, who's in that front line, but they are playing this one safe, sticking together as a team. There's going to be the full engagement now into trying to get the back line, chasing so far through just to pick up that of, I believe, the Lindis, but they're not able to do that, and they're going to instead turn right back around, picking up the kill onto the Malik and the Lumber, all the meanwhile not even losing a single member of that team. And it just goes back to that previous Abyssal Dragon that I mentioned, and that's the tipping point for the side of Unknown. As you can see, they are unstoppable at this point. Joker going to pick up another kill for himself, and they're diving so far deep into the base, just chasing Tara back, and they pick up a tier 2 turret once again. And that brings me around to the point I was going to say is the gold lead they've accumulated for themselves, now sitting at 27.2k over that of the side of Unity, who are now starting up the Darkslayer and will be able to secure that with ease, no contest whatsoever.
Exactly, and this is the complete opposite of game number 1. They're so confident, Team Unknown, and they basically know their win conditions or their map conditions. They wanted to push down top side as fast as they could, because once they reach late game, for sure they want to get that Dark Slayer for themselves so that they'll be able to push with their lead and get additional advantage in the map, and as well as their combat power. So that's what they did. They do have the Dark Slayer buff. They're pressuring all sides of the map. I just realized that Team Unity still hasn't really gotten any first tier towers just yet, but look how confident Team Unknown is. They're just shoving down the waves, and they're just trying to gain control, or more control rather, on the lane, so that they'll be able to push down this mid and just create more pressure as time goes by.
Yeah, looks like the whole team, both teams actually, in the mid lane, positioning for a team fight and at least a turret take, a tower take for that of Team Unknown. The question is, how much will they push for? They do have to wait for that minion wave, technically, although they could dive in deep if they have someone to tank that damage, but instead they are going to break apart, continue to pressure all the lanes at once, making sure that this base siege is that much more, has a higher chance of succeeding here. And we will see that Unity, I think the only thing they can do here is catch someone out, but Raghu not able to with that ultimate, and instead you can see in the bot lane, I believe it's Vayne on his lonesome, putting down the pressure there, and that has caused the most of Unity to rotate down and opens up an easy window for them to take the high ground tower up in the top side and jump on right through, looking for a possible fight. But Team Unknown, just like Unity in the previous game we've seen, are rather cautious with their engagements, but it does look like the Zephyrs could get caught out, and they're going very low. This could be the chance for Unity if they can turn it around, but the L'Oreal on the backline, damage alongside the Joker, picking up kill after kill. They're so low, there's a possible chance that Unity could turn this around, but it's only the Praetor and that of the Lindis up and they're not quite able to do it on their own. They do force Unknown out of the base and hold on to the game that much longer. But you can see that Team Unknown still, if they can't reach that of the L'Oreal or the Joker, it's just so hard for them to do anything.
Exactly, and it was just really impressive how the Lindis and the Preda was actually the only ones left. Problem is, even though they could have just pushed with it, a lot of low health targets on the side of Team Unknown is just a little bit too risky, as there's so much mobility going around and the outplay potential is just going to be immense. Lindis wouldn't be able to use her passive for the movement speed, and as well as Preta, it's just really good positioning, going to be reliant on the tanks, and there's no way that he could have executed that well if they had to push through and try to make something out of that situation. So it was a good safe play still. At least they still managed to live, or else it could have been GG at that point. But then again, it's just Team Unknown. They really have to get those key targets in, get that Lindis, get that Preda. For me, in terms of damage output, the fastest damage, Team Unknown deals the fastest damage in comparison to the Preda and the Lindis. There's a lot of sustained damage and as well as poke coming from the side of Unity, but if all of Team Unknown just dives in your face, you wouldn't have the time to set up, you wouldn't have the time to land those sustained damage, and that's the reason why Team Unknown, aside from their humongous gold lead, is just that their team composition just really overwhelms the side of Team Unity, and most likely, you know, Unity has passed their prime already for this Lindis composition. I believe that's what sort of they could have worked on during the early to the mid phases of the game. But then again, if they don't dive and let themselves be poked by the Preda, then that's something they could enter once everybody's so low.
That could be another problem for them, as we see Fang going in deep, and if the full team of Unknown doesn't commit, like we saw with the first game one with Unity, they made sure every team fight was a good team fight for them. What I've been noticing with Team Unknown is they're almost giving away these slight mistakes. It's just up to Unity to pick up on them, as well as you mentioned the fact that they could allow themselves to get poked down. And I believe we do see Abyssal Dragon up in a number 25. Team Unknown technically don't need it at this point. They are over 10k gold ahead. And they could go for it if they want, or they wait and hold this game out for another 45 seconds, take the Dark Slayer, and it's surely theirs. Because right now, Unity are just, they're camping in their base. There's not really much they can do. They're a bit too, I would say, I'm afraid they don't have the confidence to really step out. I mean, it's a bit tough when it's 2 to 15. You know that any mistake from your side could really spell the end, whereas you will require a few from Team Unknown to turn this one around. But at least one mistake in the first place will be the stepping stone for that. We'll have to see, as half of Team Unknown waiting up in that top side to just break on through, probably pushing down the mid. And it looks like Malok and Lindis will be chasing down the Zenio, but that's not the right choice to do, as Joker will catch out that of the Lumber. And why even more, it's just not the right option to do. With Zenio, if he's able to escape you, he's then easily going to be able to rejoin with his team. And now a man down, that defense on the base for Unity is going to be that much harder.
Yeah, I mean, either you try again, get the Dark Slayer, or, you know, wait it out and do a Party Brush, which is what they did. And Lumber, knowing that maybe they will probably try to get the Dark Slayer, he just had to suffer from the consequences. But that's 14 seconds on the clock, more or less, before he comes back online. So that's a short time frame for Team Unknown to utilize that advantage.
Zephyr is going to dive in 1v2, but easily able to back out of that to the safety of his team. Meanwhile, bot lane is also getting pressured at the same time as the fight going on in top, but perhaps it's just distraction techniques for Team Unknown to try and allow an opening in this bot lane, because they only have Malik there holding on to it. So damage poke being traded everywhere, all around, and once again, Blaze not afraid to go in deep, just so he can then push the enemy back towards his own team. And you can see that now that Lumber is up, Unity might have a chance here. They just need to find the right engagement. Poke not quite landing. Blaze once again going very low, but they need to be careful where they decide to invest their damage. Investing it all in the tank, even though he's so low, is probably not the right idea. Instead, they should focus on that poke that goes down onto the Joker. Massive damage going through. Lumber going to be able to pick up a kill onto the Fane in follow-up, and they should go through and jump onto the Joker now that they have an opportunity, but they have to be careful because Zenial, all the meanwhile, putting down the pressure in the bot lane is another problem to respond to, and it looks like they will catch out the... No, not quite. The Zephyrus is able to escape, and Joker, going for some sneaky plays, is still up in that top lane. Not sure if he's going to continue pushing on through, but he is fairly low health and is going to decide to get that back. But this shows that Unity, they are able to find these openings. They can make a comeback, and if they do, I will be more than impressed.
Yeah, the problem for the side of Team Unknown is that I do understand that they're having a hard time trying to dive all these high turrets. But then again, high ground mid is already almost taken. Preda is the biggest headache in Unity's squad. Joker obviously has to go near so that he could land the hurt on the objectives, on the towers. But it looks like we're going to see a fight here. Kux is just going to be able to just dash away out of danger, and they have to be patient here. Team Unknown, get that high ground towers so that they'll be able to get more space for themselves and get Cypranophobia if they can.
Well, this could be dangerous as Tara ends up in the backline of the enemy. Could be where they want to be as well, with the knockups coming through. Praetor well positioned in this team fight, but can they find the damage they need? And it is a 5v3 at this moment, or 5v4, quite hard to tell. There's going to be Tara taking out the L'Oreal, but meanwhile they do trade out 2 kills instead, and they have lost Praetor. Positioning not in such a great spot, will get caught out by the Fane into the wall. Easy pickup for the rest of the team, surely, and that leaves Tara all on her own. Although Tanky was able to survive, only watches the bodies of their allies fall and soon to be their base, but they aren't going to go down without a fight, trying to do what they can, but looks like it is all going to be GG from here for the side of Team Unknown. With a very dominating performance. It got a bit rough in the late game there, but we rarely did get to see what Team Unknown had in store.
Yeah, I believe Team Unity did a good job in defending. It's just that they know that they were running out of time. They know that their defense conditions were
and with that, we will jump into draft number 3 for this final matchup between Unity and Team Unknown. There's going to be the Superman ban as well as the Crash ban that you mentioned, and I feel like Team Unknown going with that Crash ban, just as they did in the second game, is so much against Unity after that first match. They felt how difficult it was to play against Unity when they had such a good AoE CC engagement alongside just the combination of heroes they had on the rest of the team. There's going to be the Zephyrus you mentioned, and Unity, they're going to be sticking with this Praetor pick. Meanwhile, Team Unknown securing in the L'Oreal first pick, and the Joker thing, both further priority picks coming through for their team. So far, how are you feeling about this one? I'd say it's looking fairly even for both teams.
You're right. I am a huge fan of Team Unknown's composition though, but it's actually the exact composition that they're forming from the previous game. If I look at it, it's just a very good balance of mobility, good roam, good 3-man squad, good 4-man squad, and good 5v5 team fights. I mean, but if they do lock in this Lindis, it's just gonna seem very awkward for me. On the side of Unity, I love the Alice pickup. It's I feel like it's a decent 3-man squad. Like, if I put the Alice, Zephyrus, and Preda together, I feel like it's decent. Their level 4 Spike and level 4 Roam could potentially be good. If this is a Lindis jungle, then I feel like this 3-man squad or invade could potentially work, and they could try to take advantage of this Lindis. Although I'm not particularly a fan of what Team Unknown, really different dynamic where when you pick a zone to fight with, you just put in the hissy fit and it just silences everybody. That would mean that the L'Oreal wouldn't have as much mobility, or rather kit, to work with, especially that one of the popular Okay, hold on. I thought there's gonna be an engage. One of the popular combinations as well is a L'Oreal Alice, as it amplifies so much for the L'Oreal's damage. Also, one of a popular combo in terms of synergy support is a Senial and the Alice. You pair it up with either the Senial, Alice, and the Zephys, and it's really painful. If you pair that up with another marksman as well, it's also going to be a very, very good dynamic. So a lot of combinations being seen, and actually getting denied here on our third game. So I'm really excited how this is going to turn out today.
Yeah, and it's going to be such a close matchup, at least on paper, looking at the drafts, looking at performance so far between these two teams. And I personally find it hard to pick a team to call. In terms of draft, I would say in this match, I find it very hard to call. But my previous opinion still stands that I hope Unity can show a similar game to what they did in the first one. It was just so... It was pleasing to watch, honestly. The way they executed that was very just well calculated, and always their rotations, their choice of engagement, and how far they would engage with that seemed to be well. I can understand the early game might be a bit rough for them, but look at this. It's a bit of a reverse play to what we saw in match 2, where it was the distraction up top for the side of Unity, and they were able to secure the dragon. But this time, Team Unknown are going to get the Abyssal Dragon, but they did it without losing a member, so they haven't handed over that first blood either.
It's actually also pretty interesting that the Joker, I just realized that the Joker is at the top, located at the top side of the map. So the dynamics already changed, locking in these three significant heroes, which is the Joker, the L'Oreal, and the Lindis as well. So it really changes the positioning of the lanes. So normally, so Senya is going to be against that Joker as well. Really good lane, safe lane, but I suppose very prominent to ganks as well. But you know what? It's fine. Lumber was there to assist the Joker and was able to eliminate the Senial. But first Abyssal Dragon was on the side of Team Unknown because a lot of control on their side as well. Zephys was, I think, has already reached level 5. He's already level 5. So I'm really looking forward to their proactive plays. I did mention the 3-man squad that I'm looking forward to, which is either the Preda Alice, Preda Alice, or maybe you go along with your Malak at the bottom lane. But then again, I feel like they're probably reaching their spikes, or maybe waiting for another potential 4v5 situation, which, you know, they could utilize their Senial most likely later.
Yeah, we will have to see how this plays out after that early first blood and Abyssal Dragon going over to Team Unknown. It's just been a matter of rotations coming through, not too much aggression, but that could change. Zephys was rotating down to the mid, but nothing he can really do against that Lumber right now. But the team will follow through with him, and that could turn around. Lumber gained the knock-up onto Zephys, forcing him back out of this fight, and it looks like Alice going very low in the front line, but could create an opening for the side of Unity to get some poke damage down of that own, the stun onto Joker. But it looks like instead they will just back off to the safety of their jungle and their towers. So really, Unity playing it fairly slow. They don't want to push for anything, but once again, as in game 2, a problem you mentioned that could occur is they allow Team Unknown to slowly and surely get ahead of them and then snowball into a lead, especially with very good scaling heroes such as the Joker.
Exactly. It's going to be very extra problematic because Joker scales really well into the late game, as well as the Preda. If given the time and positioning, but because of the composition of Team Unknown, I'm very worried about Unity, if whether they are going to be given the space to maximize their Preda pick. But then again, they do have the Alice for the good zoning potential. They do have a Malak and Senial for the protection and the peel. So perhaps they do have a plan in mind later during team fights. And the gold isn't that significant of a lead. Thane enters the fight.
Yeah, and there's going to be the contest for the Abyssal Dragon. It's going to go over to the side of Team Unknown, and soon to fall will be the Malak. And it looks like Team Unknown probably going to back out of this one with that, but Lumber still feeling a bit frisky and risky up in the front line, is sticking around with his team alongside that of L'Oreal. Prater has made their way down to this bot lane. And they are going to get dived on by the Lumber, but they do need to be careful of any counter engage coming through by the side of Unity, and that might just happen here as it's going to be Zenial diving in for a kill, punishing him. And that's the thing where we look at play styles coming through by Unity and Unknown what we saw in the second game. Although they dominated, they were still playing very aggressive for the most part up until that late. Where they were trying to siege the high ground turrets, but for now they will just settle with taking the first bot turret and top turret away from Unity, and kind of goes with what we were saying, slowly but surely they will secure themselves a lead, already sitting at 15k gold over to that of the 12.7 on the side of Unity.
Exactly. I'm really loving what Team Unknown is doing because they know how Team Unity works. They try to force out Zenial out of his lane or out of whatever lane he's trying to keep safe, and then you leave the Joker, and then he's just gonna finish down a tower. Lindis assisted the Joker and just took advantage of all the movement speed from the brushes all over the map, and that's the reason why they got a lot out of that. They did lose a member, and they managed to get Abyssal Dragon as well because of the Thane's valiant play there. And it worked out still in their favor. So they have to... I feel like they're going to keep repeating these things where they create pressure in a certain area, and then the dynamic of their four-man squad, they have the Lindis, they put the Joker as their split pusher instead of, you know, whoever is usually found in the top lane. But then again, Abyssal Dragon has already spawned.
Yeah, you can see it going down to half health, but is going to return to the pit as Unity starts to put on some pressure of their own, but they need to be careful with the positioning of that Praetor. They need to dive onto him into the backline, but it's so difficult with the way that Team Unknown have set themselves up, and they should be able to sweep on through a double kill for the Lindis on the side, a triple kill in fact for the Lindis, and it looks like that was more of a worry for them as they have the bear positioning into that fight and will go for the Abyssal Dragon without any contest this time and clearly pick that up. Meanwhile, Praetor couldn't do anything with the time given in the mid, couldn't even pressure and put down any damage to that tower, and there's going to be a bit of the Might Golem actually being stolen away, and you can see Lindis just has spiked that much further ahead after that team fight.
Yeah, the crits are crazy here for Lindis at this point, and dealing a lot of work during team fights and just farming like crazy, roaming around the jungle. And the Sentinel, actually, not quite sure if it was stolen. Feel like it was not, but they're starting a fight over here at the riverside.
Not sure if that's the best idea, especially after what happened last time. No one's actually taking care of Lindis. There's going to be the stun onto them, however, but no follow-through damage, and they're just kying around the sidelines. But this time, Praetor, the one to find damage for the side of Unity, but they will be turned around within a second, forced running with their tails between their legs. Back to the base. The Joker, I think, sniped that kill onto that of... I didn't quite catch Zenial actually going down there, and Malik forced to return to the base. They could get themselves 2 turrets if they have the minions to push with it, and they do, and it just forces Malik back even further. The last one left standing, but Alice coming back up just to defend this high ground turret, stopping the onslaught that is Team Unknown.
Yeah, I think I remember the reason why I'm not a fan of the Lindis jungle is because you lose a protective utility spell for your extra safetiness, but because of Team Unknown's teamwork, they managed to make this work. You saw how, you know, Blaze on this Lumber just tried to body block and tried to peel for the Lindis for her to reposition herself and just create that space and just try to live and live through that clash, even though there were 4 people right in front of the Lindis. It worked wonders, and no one was able to punish that sort of positioning, and the Lumber did a good job, and now they have Darkslayer.
Ooh, and there's going to be the engage onto the top high tower and high ground tower base, and they will be able to pick up a kill for themselves, and soon following 2 kills actually as they take down the Malik as well. And as you mentioned, the team comp of Team Unknown, they just have so much damage coming through, and it suits so well with their playstyle. Just such an aggressive team, and I wouldn't even call it reckless in this sense. This is more that comfort zone and that element as they push through for the win. Before I can even finish that, it's GG to Team Unknown, and just shows how well they can play with a team comp like that.
Yeah, they made me a believer. They definitely made me a believer, and I'm super